Imagine a world war raging, and behind the scenes, two powerful nations secretly redraw the map of an entire region, shaping its future for a century to come. What could drive such a monumental and covert decision, and why was it so critical at that very moment? The Sykes-Picot Agreement was made in May 1916, primarily as a secret wartime understanding between Great Britain and France, with Russia's later assent, to divide the Ottoman Empire's Middle Eastern territories into their respective spheres of influence and control, should the Triple Entente win World War I. It was a pragmatic step to formalize their colonial ambitions and manage potential disputes over the spoils of war. This crucial agreement was forged during the thick of World War I, when the Ottoman Empire, aligned with the Central Powers, was showing signs of weakness and potential collapse. Britain and France, keen to secure their long-term strategic and economic interests, needed to establish a framework for the post-war division of these vast lands. For Britain, the priority was safeguarding its route to India and securing access to newly discovered oil reserves, particularly in Mesopotamia. France, meanwhile, sought to expand its influence in the Levant, building on historical ties and economic interests in Syria and Lebanon. The agreement was a preemptive measure to avoid conflict among the Allied powers themselves over territory once the Ottoman Empire was defeated. Understanding this historical context helps clarify the agreement's purpose and its enduring legacy. It demonstrates the strategic calculations of the European powers at a time when the fate of empires was being decided. The agreement allocated specific zones of direct control and others for indirect influence, meticulously delineating areas from what is now Iraq through Syria and into Palestine. It is a stark example of how colonial interests directly shaped the geopolitical landscape of the modern Middle East without any input from the region's inhabitants. This partition was not just about land. It was also about resources, trade routes, and projecting global power. The British, for instance, were particularly interested in the future of Palestine and securing ports on the Mediterranean, foreshadowing later developments like the Balfour Declaration. These detailed geopolitical considerations highlight how deeply intertwined global conflicts were with imperial expansion and resource control during this era, setting the stage for future regional complexities. In essence, the Sykes-Picot Agreement was a defining act of colonial foresight and strategic planning during a time of immense global upheaval. It illustrates how the ambition to secure post-war dominance and control over vital territories, coupled with a complete disregard for the indigenous populations, fundamentally drew the lines on the map that largely endure today, making it a critical piece of the puzzle in understanding contemporary Middle Eastern dynamics.